Hey, Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show. I'm Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, SpiderManFanRave.com. Going over there, we got plenty of good Spidey stuff. We've been going on about this on the show for quite some time now, so those of you who are regular listeners, you pretty much know what you're going to find over there. If you're a new listener and this is your first episode, go on over to SpiderManFanRave.com. You will find plenty of good Spider-Man stuff. I won't detail it for you here. I'll leave it as a surprise. Right now, I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
Not much. Just got a surprise day off tonight, so that was pretty awesome. Just chilling, doing the show tonight with John, and that's all I can say, really.
As for myself this week, what have I been up to? Well, I've got some studying to do this weekend. Got a big exam on Monday that I'm not totally concerned about, but it's a lot of material, so I need to go over it. I need to spend some time on it. Other stuff this week, well, it's been damn cold here. It's been hella windy today. We actually lost power for quite some time today.
It's been windy here, too. My fucking neighbor, oh, sorry, excuse my language, but my neighbor, his windshield is gone. He went to work, came out, and there was a branch in his car.
Damn. Because like it's been pretty windy here. We've had some pretty cold.
It's windy here. I don't know if you could hear or not, but like that's the worst part being on the second floor in this kind of old house that we live in. Because if you're in the basement, obviously, or the first floor, wind comes in and you hear the wind, but it's like okay, you hear the wind. Up here, the house moves.
I know I was there at one point, James. It's not necessarily that pleasant, but. Yeah, so it's been windy here. It's been cold here. Not much else to talk about. Just chilling, drinking my pure aqua spring water. That'll be the first shout out of tonight. I've got some like sores in my mouth, so I've had to take medication for those. So that's really fun. Just so you know, whenever you get these, like they're called canker sores in your mouth, whenever you get those, eating anything at all, it feels like you're getting shot in the face. So let me just tell you, it's not that fun to deal with. As I drink water on camera. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me this week. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we do have another issue of Amazing Spider-Man to cover this week. We got Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, Number 8, Part 3 of the Dark Kingdom. We'll be wrapping up this storyline. And then we do have another ASM issue next week, but we're not going to talk about it on this show because we've decided that we are not talking about the Point One storyline because James hasn't read it, and I hate it with a fiery passion.
Just do a goddamn Peter Parker satellite title. You know you want tomorrow with these goddamn Point Ones. Because they're like the Harry Osborn thing now, where it's like, oh, I mean, not the Harry Osborn, I'm reading ahead of time because I'm pretty checking out our back issue that we're going to do this week. But pretty much, I meant the Venom, how in the 90s, they didn't have Venom being an ongoing because number one sell, and it's totally the 90s collector's editions. So like every 5 issues or so they had them be called miniseries. So you'll have 5 or 6 issues, maybe 7 at the most, and then next issue's number 1 again. That's basically the Point Ones now, if you think about it. It's the third Spider-Man book week. It's like we're not doing it 2 times a month now. We're not doing that. Wink.
And let me just tell you, I am not enjoying the Point One story, and that's as much as you're going to get out of me on this show. I'm not buying it anymore. I'm done. Done with it. I'm just done. James, I'm going to say it right now. Don't read it. You're going to hate it.
I'm probably going to because I'm a completionist asshole.
All right, but we do have Volume 4, Number 8. We'll run down the creative team real quick. Dan Slott, writer. Matteo Buffagni, artist, color artist Marte Garcia, VC's Corey Petit on lettering, Alex Ross, cover artist. What the hell are you laughing at, James?
Sorry, I finally had to lose this. Every time you say his name, Buffagni. No offense to anybody. It's just the way John pronounces Buffagni. It just sounds like you're not sure if you should say the name because what it sounds like, but you have to, so you're trying your best to say it with a straight face, and that's what cracked me up.
Never drink water while laughing, people. Just I'm gonna advise
like
that. Right.
No offense to anybody who may be associated with his name, meaning his name or any word in the name. It's just the way John said it because he did it because he wants to be PC. that I laughed at. It's not the name itself. It's the way John was acting about it the last 2 or 3 weeks that he's been.
The views of James Markin do not necessarily reflect the views of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow.
But there's a big difference between me and him. I actually love little people. I think they're awesome. They're just people to me. So I'm not like who you're referring to right there.
Yes. If you've never heard of, if you don't know what we're talking about, go into the back episodes. No, actually don't. Don't.
No go. Because see, the one thing that had me nearly quit the podcast before I even was on an episode.
Oh yeah, that guy's gone now. I didn't fire him; he left by his own choice. But yeah. So, okay, let's get back to the comic at hand, shall we? Parker Industries, Shanghai. So the doctor, Dr. Wu for Parker Industries. He's got the antidote for the shade drug that Mr. Negative and his inner demons have been using on people such as Cloak and Dagger, such as the police officers, and that Mr. Negative tried to use on Peter Parker in the previous issue, but as it turns out, it didn't work very well. The doctor has managed to get the shade drug out of the police officers completely, and Spider-Man says, "Okay, look, I need to know, now that we've got an antidote to shade, how do we use it on Negative and his goons? I've anticipated your need and loaded doses of it into your spider tracers, along with dart guns for Sun's men." And so, gosh dang it, Dad, do you have to talk that loud? Sorry, my dad's upstairs talking very loud right now. So the doctor says, "Okay, we can do this. We can load all the shade. We can load the shade antidote into your spider tracers. We'll be ready to go. All right. How many additional doses of the antidote will my fellow police officers need? None. The receptors to the drug are blocked. They're now immune to its effects. Then they'll be ready for our plan tonight? I don't know, Chief. They're pretty out of it. Maybe I should go it alone. Nonsense. This is our country, and we will protect it. But we welcome your assistance. You're pretty good. For an American, right? Agreed." So Peter shows up at the awards ceremony, intent on giving I apologize if I'm butchering this name, King Hao, Mr. King Hao, his humanitarian award. But he says, "I'd love to give him the award, but he's 100 floors up. So I'm going to hop in the Spider-Mobile and it'll take me right there. All right, Leanne, punch it." "Peter, but I thought Spider-Man was going to be here for this spectacle." Wink. "He will. Come on, let's go, before people realize that this is really just a really expensive elevator." "So what do you need to see Spidey about, Leanne? I thought the two of you didn't get along." "It's nothing. Just something I need to say to him. Something I promised my mother." Wink. So Peter gets out. He goes up to Mr. King Hao. He says, "All right, I'm pleased to present the award to you, sir." And just at that moment, Mr. Negative, at his hideout with Cloak and Dagger and all of his inner demons, "I've waited a long time for this, Shen King Hao. Years of suffering that you have used to remake yourself, to hide behind a wall of respectability and good deeds. And this is where I tear that down. Parker, my pawn, my puppet, will hand you your precious trophy, but he's slipping you a poisoned chalice, and under the influence of my shade, your dark side will resurface." And at that point, Dr. King Hao, just as he thinks, or just as we all think he's about to make a confession, he actually says, "This campaign, it's a selfish one. I want to live in a better world, so I'm making it better. Because, yeah, such a freaking crime, bro." And Mr. Negative freaks out. "What is this?"
By any chance is his name Max Shrek? Batman Returns reference for the ones that get it.
I was going to say, I don't get it. "What is this? That dose of shade was close to lethal. He should be spilling his guts. Why isn't it working?" So evidently this King Hao guy can talk for 10 minutes, long enough for Peter to slip out unnoticed and come back in as Spider-Man also unnoticed, which is the most ridiculous part of this whole book, if you ask me. But so Spidey comes back in and he says, "Negative has to know he's been played by now. Question is, he'll be ticked off to take the bait." See, here's the thing. They made a typo in there. There's a big grammar mistake. They put wheel instead of will. So yay for typos. So Mr. Negative orders Cloak and Dagger to come with him to the ceremony. He's going to basically crack some skulls. He's going to kill some people. But he finds out that they're ready for us. It's a trap! Aw, worst Admiral Akbar ever. Like this. It's a trap! I'm not kidding. That's an actual quote from the book. Spider-Man actually says that.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my complaints, actually. Because what they do with the joke. Doing the joke and the reference is one thing. It's the way they handled it. It was really dumb.
So Spidey manages to get Cloak, or he manages to hit Cloak with the antidote. And so he says, that's one down. Looks like you just lost your ride, Negative. There's no easy way out this time. But the inner demons start firing rapidly because, they're taking fire from the cops, taking fire from Spider-Man. And they supposedly shoot Dr. King Howe, but it turns out he's wearing a bulletproof vest, Back to the Future style. The vest we gave him took the hit. He'll be fine, Spider-Man. Not that. We've got every angle covered. King Howe's protected. Negative's trapped. We're turning his men. For once, everything's going according to Spider-Sense. I totally jinxed it, didn't I? I thought that was kind of funny. All of a sudden, the Spider-Mobile comes in. I'm sorry, Spider-Man. Leanne? But you have to die. My name is Leanne Tang. You killed my mother. Prepare to die.
This is no. When I saw this one and I saw that, he's like looking at her. He's like, okay, I had girlfriends die before because of me. I didn't have one try to kill me.
He's like, I don't think this is how this works. I'm pretty sure you're the one who's supposed to be dying, not me.
And the worst part, though, think of it, it's like I heard say, like, that it's nothing personal. I have to do this. It's for my mom. It's for my mom. I'm not. She basically already says that. So it's obviously like Slot already saying, "Don't hate her. Don't hate her. This ain't Black Cat. This ain't Black Cat. Repeat, this ain't Black Cat."
Okay, so Spider-Man and Leanne take their fight outside. Meanwhile, Mr. Negative just loses his shit completely. He's like, change of plans, no subtlety, no elaborate revenge. Everyone, kill the old man. As you wish. Tandy, please, this isn't you. Have to stop you for your own sake, or you'd never forgive yourself. Let go! Dagger, what have I done? So she's like, she seems to be poisoned by the just the massive amount of darkness. So Spidey's outside on the wall fighting Leanne in the Spider-Mobile. All of a sudden, he gets a very convenient call from Mockingbird. Spidey, Mockingbird here. Now is not a good time, Bobby. Thought you'd want to know. I figured out the identity of Parker Industries' mole. Wow. Just wow.
It was like when she came in the book, it's like, oh god, here's Mockingbird again. And this is coming from somebody who was a fan of her back in New Avengers when she got back alive. And it's like, oh, I'm actually a fan of this character. But the way they're using her, it's like she is literally the amazing friend of this book.
Don't tell me it's Leanne Tang. How did you? Oh, it's just a guess. So can you tell me why she's working with Zodiac? Might be pretty helpful right now. While tracking down Scorpio, I uncovered shipments he made of experimental cancer drugs to a patient in Shanghai, Leanne Tang's mother. Well, that seals it. There's no greater motivation in the world than love. What is love? Baby,
this is clearly like them going out of their ways to make sure you don't hate her after this.
Tandy, don't move. Tyrone? I have one of the darts those men fired. I know you'd hate this, me trying to fix everything with a magic drug, but I don't care. Forgive me. Forgive me.
Forgive me for helping.
Forgive me for saving your life.
It's like, can you imagine if he did that for when Gwen died? Forgive me, Gwen, for saving your... Oh, she's dead.
God damn it. Come here, Goblin.
Forgive me for saving your... Forgive me, you're dead.
All right, so Mr. Negative, he corrupts Mr. King Howe, and he gets him to confess all of his sins, quote-unquote. But it turns out that one of the cops shot one of the TV cameras and broke it, so no one actually heard his confession. So what happens? Mr. King Howe jumps out a window, as you do. So Spidey...
I remember just reading this comic, and each decision, it's like, I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that.
In fairness...
I definitely wouldn't have done that.
In fairness, it's because it's... I know I parodied it, but it's because Mr. Negative actually orders it. So he's like, yeah, obey me. Go to the window. Jump. Because evidently I'm fucking Kilgrave now. And so I can just...
You know what I was actually thinking when that happened? I'm like thinking, Dan, you just had an Asian guy like be completely disowned and dishonored, and he jumped out a window. That's kind of stereotypical, don't you think?
I didn't know. I'm completely honest. I'm really not familiar with stuff like that. I really am like, I'm tempted to just not even touch that.
Well, I was only thinking that because when I was reading this, I was watching South Park, and there's an episode where a Japanese man jumps off a roof because he can't tell the difference between a Chinese man and just a guy with split personalities. And he goes, I can't tell the difference between another Asian and a guy with split personalities. I have dishonored my people. And he jumps off a building. He goes, oh, crap. I just made a stereotype be true. So I'm looking at that, and I'm reading, flipping through the comic, and I'm like, and you get to that, I'm like, oh, crap.
Oh gosh, I don't even want to touch that.
I don't think that Dan was going for that. It's just wrong place, wrong time when I was watching South Park while reading this, and it got to that.
So just as he jumps out the window, Spidey's trying to reason with Leanne. Leanne, listen to me. I can't believe your mom would want you to do this. My mother, how did you? Not important. Not important. So what is important is that
he can say it though. Shield's been trying to track who's the person who's been a spy, and we found out that it's been you, and you're doing it for good cause for your mother. Why doesn't he say that? That doesn't reveal he's Peter Parker.
But it's not important, James. What is important is that she's not a killer. And just at that moment, she reaches out and catches Mr. King Hao. And so, but evidently, she had to reach out. And at that angle, no, the Spider-Mobile, it's falling. I'll just shoot one stray web because, you know, that's never backfired before trying to catch.
The worst part about it is I'm thinking, no, let it fall. Let this goddamn relic from the 70s Batman ripoff just fall.
So it's like, okay, I'm just going to fire one web at this really heavy object. There's no way that can go wrong. And guess what? Guess what happens? It was too heavy. It broke. Huh? Leanne, don't worry. We're okay. How? Easy. My spider sense isn't tingling. And if I'm right, that means I've got friends, and they've got my back. You've got a friend in me.
I love that.
My best friend. I just
love how he's like, how do you know that nobody? I just always like, well, how do you know that nobody didn't die? He goes, oh, because my spider sense didn't go off, so it must not have been dangerous when it fell. And I'm thinking, does that mean your spider sense warns you if like some guy randomly gets hit by a car right outside your apartment?
I was gonna say, like, I'm not sure. Is that how the spider sense works?
Because that is overpowering the spider sense. If he could be like walking on the street going, guy fell off a roof. Or be like, he was like in the middle of a dinner date with like Mary Jane, they're having dinner, and he's just eating, and guy tripped down the steps and broke his neck.
It's all my fault. So Cloak teleports Spider-Man and the Spider-Mobile, Leanne, Mr. King Hao. He teleports them all back safely on the ground. And Spider-Man
Some college kid had too much to drink and he barfed. That's a danger I sensed from 3 blocks away.
So Mr. King Hao, he's taken to the hospital. He's like, thank you, Inspector, for your discretion. I've known of your past for some time, King Hao, and I'm far more interested in the good you're doing for China's future. So no justice for the people who've lost loved ones because of this psycho. No justice there. Jesus Christ.
And the worst part about it, this feels like a relic of like Stanley in the 60s of, well, it is a communist country. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, well, it is a communist country, so they're just going to let all the villains get off scot-free. Because it's Marvel Comics, and that's how all our characters got their origin stories.
So what happens to me now? I'm fired, going to jail? What? Just tell me mother will be... Leanne, stop. I gave Zodiac our security codes. I tried to kill you. I understand. I know what it means to risk everything to help family. So does Peter. We'd be hypocrites if we didn't give you a chance to work with us. We're going to help your mom, and you're going to help us take down Zodiac. I was only their mole. Right. Okay, then. Let's see what you can dig up for the good guys. I was only their mole. Damn.
You're useless.
What about Mr. Negative? He's gone, Spider. We lost him. How? You had him tracked. in one of the world's largest buildings in the middle of Shanghai. Look at this crowd. Fucking jackass. And so, all right, well, do we know where he went? We have an idea. Cloak? Of course. Coming wall crawler? Cloak, Dagger, Spider-Man. We thought you might come looking for us here. We're long gone, but we are not leaving China. This is the home of those who have wronged us, both Mr. Negative and Martin Lee. My alter ego and I, we are two halves of the same coin now, both seeking power, the power needed for revenge. We know how to manufacture shade. We have an army of inner demons. This city will be ours. If you're smart, you'll leave us here and return to America. Go home. I have a question. Am I the first time anyone hears these scripts out loud? It does not sound
John?
as bad when I read it in my head.
Hello?
Hi, James.
All right, sorry, my headphones are shit, so they're dropping out of me. What did you say?
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, am I the first person ever who says these scripts out loud? Because it's like, when I read these in my head, it's not that bad, but when I read this dialogue out loud, I feel like good log. It's just, Jesus. Okay, that's not happening, Marty. Tell them why. We're immune to your poisons now, and we can be anywhere, in the shadows, in the light. We'll be here, and we'll be watching. Dun, 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 dun.
Yay, people from the 80s, nobody gave a shit about it. But Dan Slott apparently did.
The end. You want to know what happens next? All new story. Scorpio Rising starts here. ASM number 9. There's the cover right there. And it comes out in March. Oh, boy. So, James, what'd you think?
I didn't like it. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why my charger's not charging.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm looking back here. So why don't you go first, and then I'll figure out what the fuck's going on, and then I can go on, okay?
All right. I didn't mind this issue, to be honest with you. I was tearing the hell out of it during the recap, as I tend to do. I'm just doing that to be funny, but I didn't mind this issue. But here's the thing, though. I didn't mind the issue, but there's nothing special about it. Literally, pretty much nothing about it stood out to me. It was just fine. Like, if I had to describe this issue, boy, this sure did happen. Yep, this comic sure came out. It sure is there. Because it's just like nothing really made me care about this book. Nothing made me really like overly emotional about it. Like, it's not a bad comic by any means, but it's not impactful. I don't think it's worth that much. It's like, okay, Spider-Man defeats Mr. Negative. Cool. That's cool. Spider-Man beat Mr. Negative. Oh, Cloak and Dagger are back to normal. Cool. Yay. I don't feel anything about that. I don't feel any emotional impact. I don't feel any emotional resonance. The moment where he saves her from certain death that's kind of touching, but other than that, there's not much else I can feel about this. Okay, what about the betrayal of Leanne to Peter? Well, it wasn't that big of a deal. They happened. Yeah, once again, it sure did happen. It sure did happen. It's just like, okay, Peter Parker reacted exactly as you would have thought he would have. He's like, okay, shit, this is happening. He finds out that it's because of his girlfriend's dead mother or dying mother. He goes, biggest heart in the Marvel universe, which, I mean, you know what? That's fine. That's in character for Peter Parker to do. I'll give that to them. But it's like, okay, he reacts exactly how I thought he would have. Okay, nothing is impactful here. I'm just gonna say, like, it's fine. It's a comic. It's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just it didn't leave an impact on me. It's like, this is one of those books that you read you spend 10 minutes reading, you put it down, You walk away. 30 minutes later, you forgot you even read it. Like, that's pretty much what this is. It's just like,
I'll be honest, Sean. I forgot half the shit that happened in this issue before we went live. You telling me reminded me about 75% of this comic, and that should not happen.
Because it's
after I just bought that comic today.
Because I'm just like, yeah, that's a nice cover. That's a nice cover because Alex Ross has been kicking ass on this book in terms of covers, but yeah.
How long is he going to be on the covers for these? I'm wondering.
I know he's on at least through issue 12, so that's good.
That's what I mean, though. How far is he going to go? Is he going to go throughout this whole run that it's Alex Ross covers? Because if so, that's really badass.
I was going to say, I have no complaints there. But to be honest with you, like, I don't have anything that I particularly loved in this book. I don't have anything that I particularly hated. It's fine. I'll give it a thumbs up. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, it's fine. Like, I'm sorry if that was like a really shitty review. Like, if that was like a really if that was not a well communicated review of the book, but it's just like, there's nothing to talk about with this. It's a comic.
It is.
It's a Spider-Man comic. That's it. Like,
that's one of the reasons why I really don't like it.
Like, it's a Spider-Man comic. That is all I can say about this. So, you know what?
I wouldn't even go that far. It's not even a Spider-Man comic to me. It's just a comic.
So I'll give it a thumbs up because like it's fine. It's a fine comic. It's a good comic. If you're interested in reading, I like the Dark Kingdom story overall. Like, to be honest, I did like this arc overall. I thought this was a pretty solid arc. It's a perfectly solid story. And this is a perfectly decent final chapter. It doesn't leave any emotional impact on me. I give it a thumbs up, but it's an empty thumbs up. So I don't know. How do I communicate an empty thumbs up?
By just not giving a thumbs up.
All right, so I'm just gonna not give a thumbs up, I guess. But it's fine. It's fine. That's all I have to say. I've repeated that sentence like 20 fucking times, but it's fine.
Because you got to fill in time to make this podcast last longer than it probably would be without just saying it happened. End of story. Done.
Well, I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense, but I feel like I'm not making sense.
John, this was definition. This whole arc is definition of filler.
But the thing is, like, I enjoyed this arc. I honestly did. Like, as much as we made fun of the last issue, I liked the last issue. As much as we make fun of this issue, I like this issue. But it leaves nothing on me. It's like, okay, you go to a restaurant and you say, yeah, I sure did eat there. I'm still hungry, but I sure did eat.
And you want to know what does this come from the chef's point of view? That restaurant failed, and it's probably one of the worst restaurants ever. Food doesn't taste bad, but if it doesn't taste good, then that's still a fail.
And it's to put it from a musician standpoint, it's like, yeah, I went to that concert. I sure did go. They sure did play. They sure did play. Those chord progressions, those chord progressions sure were there. They sure did happen.
Can I segue now into my review from this? Because that's one of the problems I had with this. If you are bad, at least I have something to go by. Because then me and John can rant or make jokes if it's so bad it's good, or if it's just terrible, we could just say, "Oh, this part was stupid. It's bad. How could they do this?" But no, it doesn't even succeed at being bad. It's just there.
It doesn't even succeed at being bad.
It failed at failing. That's how much of a failure it is.
It broke the laws of the universe by failing at failing.
Because I don't like this issue. I'm going to give it a bad review and say I don't like this. Because from that food point of view, if I go in a restaurant and everything is bland, tasteless, and tastes like water, I don't care if it didn't taste bad. I don't care. If I ordered chicken Alfredo and I got no flavor, it was bland and just water. Like, no flavor whatsoever. My taste buds didn't even know there was food in my mouth.
Dude,
if I have something like that, I would never go back to that restaurant. And that's just the Gordon Ramsay, uptight, snobby chef. I guess that's going to be me one day when I graduate. But that's how I feel. And that's the same thing with this comic. To quote my friend Zach, this wasn't an iceberg. It was an ice meh. It's an old running joke. Basically, when we used to drive by our friend Trevor's house and we picked him up, long story short, there would be like, he lives next to a auto car place. And during the winter, of course, obviously they got plows and they got a big hill. And we can always tell that when it's getting closer to spring, because that iceberg that we jokingly call it becomes a nice meh because it starts getting smaller. And so that was our running joke. So whenever something's meh, I always say it's an ice meh. And that's what I can say to this comic. It was an ice meh. It was there. Everything didn't intrigue me. I didn't give a shit that the girlfriend mother is dying and that she had to do this, because I have never met her mother before this arc. I have no sympathy for a fictional character who is dying, who they literally just told me is dying, and that's my first thing I know about her.
To be honest, we barely met the girlfriend before this arc.
Well, that's what I'm going to. It's like an ogre. It has layers, John. I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit about the girlfriend because I forget that he's even dating somebody. At least Carly Cooper, when I hated her and she was getting the Roman Reigns treatment of being shoved down our throats, at least she was there. At least she had a present. This girl is just, she's Spider-Man's girlfriend. What's her name? She's Asian.
You know what? You know what's actually like...
And that's not me being racist to Asian people, but saying that that's her only thing. Because I have dated Asian women before, and I am friends with a lot of Asians. I'm a big fan of Japan and their culture. I'm not making fun of Asians at all. I just had Chinese food like 2 days ago. But my point is, when that's the only thing I can remember about his girlfriend, when I think about, I can't even think about her name. What the fuck is her name? Tian?
Leanne Tang. Let me just point this out.
It's like that. Like, the only thing I remember is, oh yeah, she lives in Shanghai. And she's Chinese. That's it.
The thing about her that I think is probably worth noting is that when I did my review of ASM number 7, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when that came out, when I wrote my article for the website,
you forgot she existed.
No, I actually had to go into the comic and look up what her name was because I didn't even remember it.
It's like I don't even remember her. All I would see is, oh, there's Spider-Man's girlfriend. What's her name? She's nothing. She has like no presence in the book. I don't remember ever in the history of Spider-Man reading back issues, Ultimate Universe, comic books, TV show, movies. There has never been a love interest who is this meh. Then you got Mr. Negative's plot. And here's my quote that I have for this whole goddamn issue in his arc. Especially his ending line about duality and his schizo, Martin Lee and him. Different sides of the coin. Two sides of the coin. I thought, wow, really not trying to make Peter Parker's Batman. You just freaking made Mr. Negative his Two-Face. Bravo. Bravo.
But see, here's something I will say about that. It's like, I don't know. Like, it seems to change, like, based on what story you're reading. Sometimes they act like Mr. Negative and Martin Lee are the same person, but sometimes they act like they're two separate personalities. And I don't even know what's going on at the end of this. It's like, are they still two separate personalities? Have they conjoined together?
It's to the point I'm reading this, and I'm like, it's Two-Face. It's Two-Face. It just come clean and saying you're just reading old Batman issues and going, he has a Batmobile, Spider-Mobile. He has a company, he has a company. He has a girlfriend who betrayed him, Batman is. Okay, Spider-Man's going to have it. He has a duality villain? Let's make Mr. Negative that. Wait, isn't Norman Osborn already technically that? No, but Norman Osborn's our Joker. We need our Two-Face. That's Mr. Lee / Mr. Negative. That's what it felt like to me. It's like, okay, now Mr. Negative's a Batman ripoff. You got a girlfriend dying girlfriend's mother dying, and I don't even give a shit about her because I hardly even know her. And I even know even less about the mother who's dying. And then Dan Slott almost seems like he goes out of his ways to make you not hate her by constantly reminding us she's doing it for her mother. She's doing it for her mother. Literally every goddamn panel it felt like was hitting you over the head that it's for her mother. I know. I just read it in the other panel. And then you get to the General Akbar joke, and as a Star Wars fan, at first I'm like, I get it, and then Peter's like, and then they go all their way to explain the joke. And the number one thing about a joke, if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. And here's the thing, you shouldn't have to explain to comic book fans what the joke is when it's a trap in General Akbar.
But here's the thing, like, you don't even really have to explain it to most people in general. Because
but especially comic fans. Comic fans are the same group of people who sat opening night to see episode 7. He is clearly writing this like, wow, we're really bringing in new readers here. I have to tell them what General Akbar is. No, you don't. Every review I've seen of this issue after it came out, every comment, it's everybody saying, why did you have to explain that? Even non-comic fans, even non-Star Wars fans, they know General Akbar, it's a trap. It's an internet meme.
It's a trap. I just spit on
the number one highest rated TV show is The Big Bang Theory. And every season they have at least one it's a trap joke. They know the joke by now, Dan.
And most of the time it's Sheldon Cooper saying it.
Yeah, it's him. I think it's him with Penny. How he says, oh, General Akbar, it's a trap. And then she and the joke is she doesn't get it. And he's going on to explain the joke to her. That's funny because it's a character explaining a joke to somebody who doesn't care.
And then
Sheldon here.
And then he also says, you have to imagine me with a giant squid head.
Yeah.
Because that's just Sheldon Cooper for you.
That was Dan Slott. You got to imagine Peter Parker with a giant squid head to get the joke. No, Dan, I got the joke.
All right, James. Anything else?
The art shit. Next arc, it's a new artist again, right?
No, it's back to Cam and Coley.
That's what I mean. It's a new artist because the art's shit. This guy, everybody looks like they have tattoos.
Everyone looks like they have burnt faces. I've been saying this for 3 weeks.
Everybody's been saying that, John. Like I said, go to any Spider-Man site, any comic site, reviews, comments. They all say the same thing. What the hell's going on with these people's faces? Are they wrinkles? Are they tattoos? Are they burnt? Are they scars? Are they facial hair? What is it?
Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the creators of this book really liked Avatar: The Last Airbender, particularly Zuko, who had the scar on his eye, and they just wanted to They just wanted to, pound that into the ground here.
And like I said, maybe it's me because I'm being friends with a lot of people, with Japanese people who are, of course, Asian, and maybe that. But I read some things in here, and I felt like they were kind of like borderline racist. Like the Asian guy, the whole first page, the Asian guy jumping out the window, and their goddamn excuse that Mr. Lee / Mr. Negative got away, and then like the comment exactly is, well, look at all the people outside. He slipped in the crowd. What? Because they're Asian and they all look alike? Is that what you're saying, Dan? Like literally, it was to the point that there were so many stereotypical Asian jokes in here. When you got to that, I'm just like reading into them now because, well, after that first page, I kind of have to.
Oh, man.
Because if you're willing to do that whole first page being a joke about Asians,
no, it's being a joke.
You're getting to this stuff. It's like, Dan, this ain't 1940. Captain America isn't punching the evil Japanese people after bombing Pearl Harbor. It's 2016. You don't have to make these jokes.
Steve Rogers is too busy punching Tony Stark right now.
Steve Rogers had a whole issue in the 90s about him being sad about all the stuff he did during World War II and those stereotypes. Literally. And it's one of the worst issues of all time. Steve Rogers is in Japan moping around because he ruined Japan.
Yes, because Steve Rogers, the ultimate freedom fighter.
Because him and the soldiers came to Japan. And because of that, and our occupation there, Japan lost its culture, and it was now too much of American culture, and it's shameful because all nationalities should be faithful to their nationalities because it's their country, and I'm Captain America, and I'm faithful to America. Everybody should be faithful to their countries. And I'm thinking, and I was talking to some of my friends from Japan when I was reading that issue back on Marvel Unlimited, and I was talking to them about how dumb it is. And they go, yeah, especially dumb because, especially in the 90s, there was a big fad in Japan about American culture, from fast food like McDonald's, KFC, fast food, American movies, American TV shows, American music. There was a big surge for that. Name me some of the popular things you like when you were a kid in the 90s. Because these are things that we liked when we were growing up. Name some of yours. I said Pokemon, Digimon, Power Rangers, Big Bad Beetleborgs, Godzilla, Nintendo. Oh, wait, those are all Japanese things in Japanese culture. Seemed like it was kind of even trade, Steve Rogers.
Way to go, Steve Rogers.
Literally, it's issue 1 of the Legends Reborn reboot, or even Returns. It's Reborn or Returns. It's one of the two, but it's the first issue of it. Either way, read it. It is the whole comic is Steve Rogers like the Japanese people used to have a beautiful culture when I came here in the war. Now I look at it, it's too Americanized. I look up at the billboard and I see an American cigarette company billboard, and I'm thinking, I'm reading that. I go, yeah, if you weren't here, it would be a Japanese cigarette company on the billboard.
All right, James. Anything else about ASM Volume 4, number 8?
You know it's pretty sad when I have to talk about a bad issue of Captain America over the Spider-Man issue I'm supposed to be reviewing. And there's a reason for that, because literally I have nothing else to say.
We actually had more fun with Steve Rogers getting all emo over shit that wasn't his fault. All right, so James, do you give this a thumbs down?
Like I said, I can't even give it a thumbs down. It failed at failing, it failed at being mediocre, and it failed at passing. How do you do that in a comic book?
So it failed at existing.
It blows my mind. Like, from the levels of bad comics to good Spider-Man, from the night Gwen Stacy died to One More Day. Like, let's say that's the scale. This ain't even on the scale. It's 5 blocks away.
Okay, so I give it an empty thumbs up, but James
if this issue's going to pretend to be not a comic book, I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist, like the comic didn't exist. So if the comic doesn't exist, it didn't exist. I don't think I read a real comic, John. I don't think that was a real comic we bought. That's what made me mad. I wasted how much dollars? Is it $3? It's $3, right? $3 or $4?
Well, depending on how much tax you pay in your state as well. So it's like
because my taxes, obviously, but I didn't just buy this. I bought other issues on my pull list. So I got to look back. But just by going by this, it's like that's the most thing I'm most mad about. The most, I guess you could say, mad or ranted, the most thing I can talk about is I wasted money on this. And it's not because I wasted money because it's bad. I wasted money on regular beans when I thought they were going to be beans that, grow big and bring me to the land of the giants. I feel ripped off because I don't think I actually got a comic book. I got words and pictures, but nothing happened. Give me something.
Well, James, I will give you something. Tonight, we're also going to take a look at Spectacular Spider-Man number 200. Yes, this is James's choice for our back issue for the night. We are going to move off of the current comics and move on to something that we actually have feelings about, and we actually will talk about, and we actually will be impacted by, and feel things, and cheer with these characters, and cry with the characters.
And it has an indirect tie into this arc that it's inspired me for us to do this review. Which was, remember last week when I went on the Harry Osborn, Liz Allen, and Normie rant? That made me think about this. So, because since the big book that I'm saving for us to do one, I'm waiting for Jan to get off his ass and come back on the show. Jan, if you're watching, that's a joke. But Jan, when you come back, there's a book I'm saving for us. I talked about it to John, and let's just say this issue, I need all 3 of us, because to talk about it, we need 3 people, because there's just something utterly different about it. Utterly different about it. The other.
Oh, viewers and listeners at home, I'm not looking forward to it.
I am because I'm one of the few people who. Okay, I won't say I like the other. I'll just say I don't hate the other. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was the best thing ever. I just thought, okay, it was good. It was a good Spider-Man story. I don't hate it like everybody else does. I just thought it was good.
But to give context about Spectacular Spider-Man number 200, this is toward the end of J.M. DeMatteis' first run on Spectacular Spider-Man. Around the start of his run with the multi-part story called The Child Within, Harry starts having flashbacks and kind of hallucinations of Norman Osborn, and it leads him to return to the guise of the Green Goblin. And so he and Peter, they have a bit of a psychological warfare. He actually injects Peter with a drug that kind of brings to the forefront all of Peter's biggest sources of guilt, all of his biggest sources of depression, all of these things that he's been dealing with and that have been troubling him throughout his life. It's pretty damn powerful issue. But eventually, Peter gets his wits back. They fight. And Harry leaves at one point to go off and kind of ponder his life. And a few issues go by. Peter fights the Vulture and the White Rabbit and all these people and some generally filler story arcs. Then Harry comes back in Spectacular Spider-Man number 189. And
great issue. It's basically part one of this, if you think about it.
Yeah, and he and Peter have a bit of a showdown. They finally, they confront each other. It's revealed that Harry has now taken the Goblin serum that his father took, and he's enhanced, and he's become the true heir to the Green Goblin's name. So, he and Peter have a bit of some psychological warfare again.
The most awkward dinner in comics history.
Yes, Harry actually kidnaps his family, and kind of holds them hostage while Peter comes. He finds them. He saves them. He manages to defeat Harry. Harry's sent to the vault. And so it seems to be all well and good until about 10 issues later with Spectacular Spider-Man number 199. It's revealed that Harry has been let out of the vault. He's come home, and he is not in the right mind. And so Peter and Mary Jane have an argument over what to do about it. And Mary Jane storms out. And what happens? The Green Goblin comes out and finds her. And so we'll run down the creative team for this issue as soon as I can get to the page. We got J.M. DeMatteis, writer, Sal Buscema, artist.
John, can I interrupt you for a second? I like to believe that the first thing Harry did after getting out of psych ward was he went to a diner, bought a pie, and then when the waitress came by, he just said, "So good."
So S-O-G-O-O-D good. Shout out to KFC right there.
Shout out to James Franco.
Yes. We
there
never
was a
thought
Spider-Man 3 reference, and I'm waiting for John to make the connection there.
I know what it is, but shout out to the Unusual Suspect who I stole that jingle joke from.
Let's KFC. Just say, going by our favorite Spider-Man film series, there'll be a lot of Harry from the web series references that John will probably make, and I'll just stick in James Franco if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I need to find him. I need his blood. He was bitten by one of those things and it worked. He can do everything else a spider can, including self-heal.
I know this one isn't from James Franco, but it's my favorite Harry Osborn quote in any other media, and it's Spider-Man and the Punisher sitting in a tree, MJ, and me.
Your friend Osborn here
Elmo,
short of a full pie.
The best part is his giggle. I don't even call it a laugh. It's a giggle. It's Elmo.
All right, we got J.M. DeMatteis, writer.
Speaking of laughs, I just love this from the issue before. The whole, I know who Spider-Man is. I'm going to reveal his secret identity, but not just yet. He starts laughing. When you read that, you realize, yeah, he's the Goblin. He's not just Harry Osborn in a Goblin suit. He is the Goblin.
We got J.M. DeMatteis, writer, Sal Buscema, artist, Joe Rosen, letterer, Bob Sharon, colorist, Rob Tokar, editor, Danny Fingeroth, group editor, and Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief. We're going to hand this over to James so he can do his recap because this was his issue of choice, so I'm going to let him take the reins on this one. James, why don't you run it down for us? What happens in Spectacular Spider-Man number 200, sir, the giant-sized 200th anniversary issue?
Well, it begins with some really great panels, of like 9 panels. As you see, Harry is like a little dot, get a little bit bigger in the glider, get a little bit bigger, and then to the point that it's just like this grin in the face going, "Hi, Mary Jane, we have to talk." And then you got the splash page, and he's chasing her, and he picks her up, and he grabs her, and he's carrying Mary Jane, and you're wondering, where is he going to take Mary Jane? Where is he going to take the love interest of Spider-Man?
A clock tower. A clock tower, right?
Don't make me slap you, John, for the Well, pretty much. And then, well, Harry takes his girlfriend. What does Peter do? But he goes up to Liz and he goes, Liz, where's Harry? Liz, where's Harry? Tell me, Liz. And then she's just like, proof right now why she's shit. She is like completely like Stockholm. Like, nothing, Peter. He's the greatest guy of all time. He's your best friend. My face is clearly somebody who needs help right now. Call 911. But I was going to say those words.
I was going to say, like, between Liz and Harry, I'm really not sure who needs the more professional help.
Well, see, after the events of this issue, which one do you think needs it more? And that's pretty sad. I'm not going to say Harry. And then you see Normie Holt destroying the Spider-Man dolls and saying die. Something that's really weird because he does this here. And then after this issue, Spider-Man his daddy say Spider-Man. Spider-Man's kind of awesome, right? And then out of nowhere in the brain of Data, they're like, fuck yeah, Magic. He's that way again. But he got over it. No, he didn't. Magic. Okay, whatever. Well, anyway, it's back to this issue. Spider-Man's web slinging. He's trying to find Harry, and he's trying to think, now, if I was Harry Osborn and hey Spider-Man, where would I take her? Well, we see where he takes her. And his exact quote is, I'm taking you to one place a goblin takes his love interest of Spider-Man, to the place where Gwen Stacy died. And then when you're reading this, and you're probably, if you were a first-time reader in 92, 93, whenever this issue came out, you're probably thinking, you probably got guesses, is this Harry's death? You're thinking, they're not. No, they're not going to have him. They are. Plot twist, though, in creative writing, he takes her up there, and she says, if you're going to do what I think you're going to do with me, throw her off the bridge. She's like, I don't want it to be the goblin. I need to see your face, Harry. And he goes, Mary Jane. And she goes, because I'm not afraid to die. And he goes, die? And he takes off the mask. He goes, Mary Jane, you're like my college sweetheart. I'm not going to kill you. You're my friend. Me and you are cool. It's your husband I want to kill. Sure. And she's like, pretty much like, Harry, you kill my husband. That's going to affect me. No. I'm crazy. I'm ignoring that. I'm just here to tell you. Me and you are cool, Mary Jane. I still care about you. I love Liz. She's my wife. I love her. But like I said, you never forget old loves, and I still care about you, Mary Jane. So I'm just telling you right now, you're not gonna die. I'm taking you up here in the bridge in the goblin suit with your husband chasing after me to tell you that you're not gonna be up on the bridge while me and your husband fights. Which led me to believe I would love it so much if Peter's web swings here and like the fight ensues and it'd be irony that the one thing Harry didn't want to happen happened kind of thing. But we don't get that. But I just love how Harry's like that. And then Mary Jane is actually she's getting through to Harry. And she goes, Harry, he goes, I don't want it to be up here because I cared about Gwen. Gwen was my friend too. Gwen's death is what caused all of this. And she goes, yeah, your father killed Gwen. And then Harry snaps back at her and he goes, no, it wasn't him. It was your husband. He murdered Gwen and then he murdered my father. And she's like, Harry, think about it for 2 seconds. Pretty much, I just love this how it is, and it's really great how he keeps it going back and forth between the Harry Osborn and Mary Jane. That's all the relationships that other media uses between the two of them. I think it all goes back to this one issue. I love it how he snaps back between a guy who cares about Mary Jane and it's your husband's fault. Gotcha, and then we're like, oh, Mary Jane, I'm sad. It's schizo, but it works here, and it's 4 pages of him basically saying, I'm not taking you up here. You're not falling off the bridge. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to kill your husband. But you're not going to die in the crossfires. So I'm going to take you home now while you know that your husband's probably going to be dead at the end of the night. Bye. And then that's how it. Yeah, it's Harry. Then Spider-Man shows up and just beats the crap out of a guy who's robbing a TV. Where's Harry? Where's Harry? Peter, it's a random robber. I don't think there's a connection between this guy stealing a TV and Harry Osborn. And he basically says that too. He goes, oh, I just took it out on this guy. Maybe taking him in was the good thing. I'm Spider-Man. I had to stop him. Great power and responsibility. But shaking him around, probably giving him seizures by shaking him too much because my spider strength, because I'm looking for Mary Jane, might not be a good idea. Okay, then we're going on. Sorry, I got a message this way. Sorry, I got a message. It's my mom. Whatever. Yeah. So pretty much that's going on, and then Yeah, he goes back home. He goes, well, I'll go home. And then hit the goblin. He doesn't even call him Harry. He goes, the goblin. It's hilarious. And yeah, they show up at the house, and he says, "You get your fucking hands off my wife!" And he starts beating the crap out of her. And Peter's like, "Peter, we were just talking. Calm down." It's like walking in your wife with another man, but it's 10 times worse, I guess, because it's a guy who you think might be there just to murder her. And it's going on, and then he goes, "Oh, you always bring out the worst in me, don't you, Peter?" And he takes off Spider-Man's mask, and then he's all like, "I'm just here to reiterate, Mary Jane, and you are cool. You and Harry Osborn. Peter, I'm talking to you, Harry to Peter here. You have nothing to worry about, Peter, from Harry Osborn." And then he puts back on the mask, "But you got something to worry about, the Goblin." And he glides out, and you realize just how awkward that is. That he glides out of their house, and he lives right upstairs. Harry at this time is their landlord who lives right upstairs.
And then
how fucking awkward is that?
Maybe he just like walked out the front door, picked up his coat, put on his shoes, just walked out. See you guys later.
He just goes up in the elevator in the glider.
Just imagine that.
He goes up there, and then him and Mary Jane are having a talk now about how deranged Harry is, and he goes, "Yeah, Liz is acting weird too. We should have known something up when she called Harry a mommy all those years ago, but." It all ties back together, John.
I totally forgot about that. That's fucking
Remember,
awesome.
The couple that Dan Slott wants us to care about getting back together. One time we're both called one single mommy.
Oh, man. If you don't know what we're talking about, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 85. Go read that. That's amazing.
Go watch our audio commentary pretty much for the whole issue, because we went panel by panel on everything because it's how batshit crazy it got. It went from bad to worse, those issues, and it was hilarious.
It's an hour of your life you won't get back.
But it's worth it.
Yep.
So Mary Jane, because it was the early 90s where their whole anti-smoking PSA was, let's have Mary Jane smoke. She's a model. She's married to a superhero. She's a model, and she's rich, and she's on a TV show. Isn't that giving the wrong impression? No. Because Peter doesn't like it. And he's the moral compass that says you shouldn't smoke. You mean the nerd? Crap. That's basically how it felt like. It was an anti-smoking PSA, but because they were doing with Mary Jane, it just wasn't working, it felt like. So he puts in a cigarette, and then Peter completely goes batshit Hank Pym on her. Okay, he doesn't, but he just goes crazy, and he starts breaking the house. Like the same levels that he did during Sin's Past. He's just breaking furniture. He's throwing everything around. And then Mary Jane is like, dude, calm down. And Peter's like, oh. And then they start hugging. And then you see this really cool thing as they're hugging the silhouette. And then you realize that the one thing that's on the floor is a photo book. And it's Peter and Harry like this from college. Like, Then Liz is upstairs. And you realize that Harry didn't go to a hideout. He literally just went upstairs. Because he grabs Liz, and she freaks out in her Stockholm, and then Harry's like this, honey, I'm home. And then they're all being Stockholm and weird, and then Harry's like looking at his son. He's like, look at Normie. There's no way I'm going to act like Norman. Go ahead and abuse my wife now, which is totally not what my father did. Dude, but I love it. His dialogue's like, I love Normie. I'm nothing like Norman. Harry, you're kind of acting like Norman. Don't say I'm like Norman. And it's like,
you're not helping your argument here, jackass.
I mean, you look at this panel, John. I don't see Harry Osborn. I see Norman.
Oh, yeah.
And he's strangling a blonde chick who he sleeps with. I know I'm reading too much into this, obviously, because it's 92, but still.
I know.
So Harry then calms down, and he starts making out with her. He goes, oh, I love you forever, my sweet wife. Bye. And then he goes, I'm going to go stalk Peter now. So Peter just starts walking around, and then Harry's just like, hi. It's kind of like, what's that movie? I can't think of the name right now. Cape Fear, where like the whole joke is, well, he's just stalking us. Yeah, but he's technically not breaking any laws. You're mad at him because he went just happened to the same place you are. He's not doing anything. And that's pretty much what Harry's doing here. He's like, you're walking down the street, Peter? I'm gliding down that street. You're going to get a slice of pizza? I'm going to get a slice of pizza. You go to the bathroom? Guess who's in the toilet looking up at you? Hi. Can you imagine that? She just like taking a dump in some bathroom here in New York. And all of a sudden he starts hearing a motor. He looks up and then here's Harry crouching on the thing. This is probably the worst idea I ever had. Especially when you pulled out your wife's latest fashion model magazine and started beating off to it. That was very creepy. Harry, that was you.
Christ. Oh my God.
No, that was just a joke. I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially hit rock bottom. There is nowhere to go but up.
Pretty much. Then the rest of it, and I'm making these jokes. And this is a classic Spider-Man issue. It's one of my top 5. Then we go to the Bugle as we notice that Harry's there too, and Harry's haunting Jonah because, as he puts it, Jonah was my dad's best friend, and it's supposed to have that parallel, I guess. That I'm inviting you a party in honor of my dad because you and my dad are best friends, Jonah, and Peter should know what best friends are because after all, me and him are like you and my father, best friends, chums, and he starts, and it's like. Deodatus is calling off 60s dialogue. What did we call Peter? Peter, our groovy swinging pad. And he goes, I'm inviting you to go to here. And then bye. And then they go in, and then like almost like the first Spider-Man movie after a goblin shows up, Peter's like, I'm going to put on the roof and fight him now. He goes to the Spider-Man suit and he starts fighting Harry. And it's Spider-Man 1. The goblin harasses J. Jonah Jameson, and then there's a fight on the rooftop. Only minus the whole sleep.
And Willem Dafoe being weird and having a.
They're fighting on a rooftop, and then Peter's like, "No, Harry,
you want to fight me?
God!" No, I'll take a Connor reference, but thank you.
You want to fight? Fight me!
I didn't kill your father. Sorry, I didn't make a Tobey Maguire reference. Every amazing Spider-Man reference you make, I'm making a Spider-Man 3 reference.
You don't give people hope. You take it away. No, Harry, I'm going to take away yours. No, go on, run!
Harry, tell me how did I kill Peter? His heart, Harry. First, we attack his heart. I love how they called back to the first movie there. That was brilliant.
There's a lot of really underrated parts of Spider-Man 3.
I like it how they use the whole comic thing of fucking amnesia. Because that's the thing that happens with every goddamn goblin. If they find out the secret and you don't want them to know, it's either A, amnesia, or Mephisto, my wife.
All right.
So yeah, then Harry goes to the building. He's walking around. He's looking at a photo of Norman. And he's kissing, and it's pretty much the same thing. Boy, I'm so glad I'm nothing like my father, as I'm doing everything exactly like my father. Then here again, it's like a really great moment where he's drinking in the night. He's like looking at Normie, and he's all like, "I love you, Dad. You're a dick to me, but I love you, Dad." And it's almost like the ghost of Norman is like staring back at him almost, and he's freaking out. And he's breaking the glass, and he's all like, "Dad, don't worry, because I forgive you, and I'll get the ultimate revenge for you as I kill all your enemies." Isn't that gonna be totally awesome? That's basically what it is.
And Norman Osborn's totally not going to rip off that plan when he comes back in Peter Parker number 75.
It's just so weird. And it's really sad, too, knowing the retcon that Norman's still alive. Norman's still alive, raising 2 twins. I repeat, Harry's vowing revenge for a father who's an Osborn, who had a child with other kids who he is raising and ignoring the son that he already has. Harry, where have I heard that before? I don't know, you and Normie currently in the main continuity? You are just like your father. Fuck you. No, but it's funny, like that parallel is right there when you think about it with the Stacy twins. He's raising them, and Harry's getting jack off in New York.
JMS, everybody.
Dan Slott, because Dan Slott and them pretty much do the same thing with Harry.
Yep.
Harry doesn't realize it, but he's Norman. And I don't know if they're going for that, but it's pretty clear that I think Harry's going to become a goblin again pretty soon in the books.
But here's the thing. Will he become a goblin because the spider venom? Give it to me.
No, I think he's going to become a new goblin with a surfboard. And I'm not bullshitting you. I think they're totally gonna dance out because all the fanboy he is. They're gonna have Norman's the Green Goblin, but Harry's gonna be a Goblin now, and he's the new Goblin. Spider-Man 3 reference y'all. Pipe bomb, dance lot out.
Oh, drop the mic. Drop the bomb.
Well, anyways, and then Mary Jane goes and has a smoking talk with Liz, and while it's going on, Peter too goes to the bridge. Peter literally, you could have gotten a night over, and this whole issue could have been done sooner, but okay, whatever. But Peter goes into the bridge too, and he reiterates, "Not like Gwen, not like Gwen, not like Gwen." It's basically that's all it is. He goes to the bridge too and goes, "Yeah, I see how this is gonna end. Hopefully MJ doesn't die. Told it to be cool, awesome, y'all." And he leaves, and then
what if something happens to you because of me?
Then Harry shows up again, and then Mary Jane's like crying and pleading to him. She's like, "I'm talked to Liz and Normie. They have Stockholm. They're fucked up, and it's because of you. Read between the lines, Harry. Smell the coffee." And then Harry
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Then Harry completely just goes fucking apeshit nuts because she thinks she's getting to him, and he's holding the goblin mask, and all of a sudden, like, the alarm goes off, and he goes, "See, I'm right. Your husband's coming to kill me." No, he's coming to get his wife. "He's coming to kill me. I knew it. Goblin time. Mask on." He flies off, breaks through the wall. He's going to kill Peter, and it's like, oh, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong, and they have an all-out fight, and it is awesome. They start fighting. They start going at it, and then he gets Spider-Man. He pokes him, and Peter gets drugged. Sleep, but not like that. He gets drugged, and he gets knocked out, and Harry's like, "You're dead. I win." Ha ha ha. And then as it goes on, Harry's like breathing, and he's relaxing, and then he's like, "Woof, I killed your husband. He's dead. This is awesome." And then Mary Jane realizes, "Oh, Normie's in this building. It's about to blow. Should somebody save the child?" And then Harry's like, "My son's in it. No, I don't want to be like my father. No." And then like he saves Mary Jane and Normie, and then that's like his breaking point back into the sand world as he realizes, I don't want these two to die. And then she says, "Harry, Peter's in there. Peter's your best friend." And he goes, "Peter, no." And he goes into the building, saves Peter, it explodes, and Harry Osborn saves the day. And he stands there and he saves both Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And they got smile on their faces, only for Harry to collapse. Because he, being a former druggie, he just OD'd on goblin serum. And as they're in the ambulance driving away, Peter's holding on to Harry. And then Harry says his dying words, "Why'd you come back and save me?" He goes, "Of course, Peter, I would always come back. You're my best friend." And then Sandman phased away.
Sam is just like the guy who's just off panel this entire issue. He's just like,
he fades away as he just says, "I'm sorry for killing your uncle, but I have a daughter, and she might be sick or something. I understand and forgive you. You can leave now after still murdering a man and being arrested for God knows how many crimes you committed as Sandman. But I forgive you. You can fade away." The only person, if you didn't get the main theme of Spider-Man 3 was forgiveness, because the only person who didn't forgive anybody is Eddie Brock, and he's the one who ended up being killed off in the most. Okay, as a Venom fan, I'm just not going to go on that. It's to the point I hold on. He's not dead. He wants them to think he's dead, but he's not. He got away somehow. But anyways, back to this. Yeah, Harry dies, and then our last shot is again of that photo of Harry and Peter as college friends hanging out. And then Harry dies, and it's so sad. And then his dying breath is, "Peter, I love you. You're my friend. Of course I'll come back and save you." It wasn't, "Oh yeah, reminder. There's gonna be robot parents in a couple of months. It was all me, but don't be mad at me. I put this plan when I was still evil. But I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm just gonna say you're my friend, and then you're gonna be taunted by a goblin behind the scenes." And then Harry's dead, and we never saw Harry Osborn again until it was fucking revealed like 10 years ago that not only is Norman Osborn alive in Europe, but he took Harry. And then Mysterio's like, "If you're gonna do this, you got to be an actor. You got to completely play up that your son's dead." So that's how they retconned the fact that he has journals where he's like, "My only son is dead." Yeah, your only son, your only child is dead. Your whole life's a lie, Norman.
All right, James. So why don't you give us a review? What'd you think
It's
of
good.
Spec 200?
It's classic. I kid on it, but that's my way of just saying I'm riffing on it, but you riff on something you love. You trash something, you rant on something you hate, you riff on something you love. And that's what I was doing. The art is great. I love Sal Buscema here, and I love how he was kind of where everything was going 90s, the art styles of comics. He was keeping that 1 foot into the classic kind of style. Like, if you look at his webbing, when everybody else, Bagley, Larson, McFarlane, they're all doing that spaghetti webbing and that weird out there artwork with big eyes and everything. He does it, but he does it in his own style. His version of the spaghetti webbing is just one line, but a few X's in it. It looks like barbed wire if you actually look like it. It's pretty cool. Because it's one black line and a few X's in there to make it out like, yeah, it's the same webbing he has now, but I can't really draw that style, and it won't look good in the style. So I'm just gonna do one black line. I love it. It's simple. Like, I'm trying to find one shot of it for John to show him off.
I can see it. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, the artwork is great. It's classic. I just love how it looks, and it's very 90s when you look at it, in my opinion. Like, it's very classic Spider-Man. Like, you can see in this issue why both movie series had the Harry Osborn Green Goblin.
Because it's awesome.
Because when you read those stuff in the 70s, everything that you like about Harry as a Goblin, or his relationship with Mary Jane, or his relationship with Peter, is all from Sal Buscema and J.D. Amadeus run with him in Spectacular. Because you reread those issues, yeah, he's Peter's college best friend, and he totally dated Mary Jane for a while. But the movies that played up is like she was his girlfriend, and Peter stole her, and he still had kind of feelings for her, and he still cared about her, and he didn't want to put her in harm's way, and his feelings for Mary Jane are what made him realize that Peter is his friend, and he saved his life. That's all from this run, from this storyline. And it's really well written. J.D. and Hamis really hits the whole psyche of what makes a character, like the psyche that really makes what is a character. He hits it out of the park here with Harry. Because the whole thing with Harry is he's doing one last revenge for his father to finally love him from beyond the grave. His father's spirit will stop haunting him and will love him finally because he killed all his enemies. But he doesn't want to be nothing like his father. And literally every single thing he's doing is like his father. And I love that. He's too gone to realize that he's just like the man who he says he doesn't want to be like. And I love that. Mary Jane in here is really well handled. If you read this and all the issues leading up to it, I love it how Peter's like, get out of here. Because if he's Norman now, and the one thing Norman did to me is kill Gwen. I don't know if Harry's going to do that to you. Get out of here. Like, there's issues where Peter's trying to figure out where Harry's at and what's going on with Harry. I think it's 189, where he goes, stay with Aunt May. Go with your family in Pittsburgh. Go anywhere but away from Harry. And I love that. It really sets up these storyline about the relationship. And then when you get to the end when Harry dies, you feel it. You care about this character. And you realize Harry gets it. And his dying words being, because you're my best friend. There's a reason why Spider-Man 3 had almost exact quotes from this. Because it is that good. And then they had Sad Man fadeaways and Follow Pieces of Sand. And then, but of course, then you kind of had the whole kind of different thing. Here, Harry realizes it because he snapped out of it by being a hero finally and saving Mary Jane and his child. It snapped him and then realized, what have I done? Peter's my friend. And it wasn't as simple as, your father, I probably should have told you this like years ago, but Spider-Man didn't kill your father. Yeah, the stab marks are clearly from that glider over there.
Great job.
He killed himself, probably. And I just love how Spider-Man 3 should have ended. How their whole joke is like, you are so fired. But I told the truth. Yeah. Look at my face now.
You could have. It's like.
He's like, I holded on to this for years. Your father was killed by his own glider.
That would have been nice to know.
And the sad thing is, I think after Brain Today, they actually made that the butler for Harry. Like, he makes a reference to him as one of his butlers. I think. Don't quote me on it, but I think they even went as far as to do that. It might have been that or Ultimate. One of the two. But that butler, yeah, he's a piece of shit. No Alfred. He's no Alfred, and he's no Jarvis. Let's just say that.
Nobody is Jarvis. Jarvis is life.
But you know what I mean, though? It's like those comic book butlers actually are useful. This guy held this information from Harry, which basically caused Harry's death. But yeah, this comic is classic. There's the art's brilliant, the writing's brilliant. J.D. DeMatteis really gets the psyche. You get Peter's psyche of what he's going through, what his good friend is becoming, his best friend is becoming his better enemy. You really get Mary Jane's psyche of these two people she cares about are going to war, and even though they're both saying, not like Gwen, this ain't gonna happen, you know she's probably thinking, there's no way it's not gonna affect me, you idiots. I'm married to one of you, and one of you is one of my closest friends. You're gonna end with one of us three dying. I seen what happened to Gwen too, guys. I know how this is gonna end, and I love how they handle that. And then Liz and Normie, the way they handle this is one of the big reasons why I don't think that Harry should totally get back together with them, y'all. It's because he's choking her. He's being a dick. They are Stockholm. They are nuts because he's nuts. Because his abusive, probably physical and mental abuse he's been giving in these last few months. He's fucked up. It's even the point that I jokingly like Harry Osborn doesn't appear to the end of the issue. Everything else is Norman possessing Harry's body. And that's how I feel about this. The ghost of Norman Osborn is possessing Harry until the very end. I just love that. How you can psychologically, and I know I'm probably saying that word wrong, and I don't care, just go into every character's thought patterns. Even Norman. I mean, even Jonah. Jonah, you can even go into it. I just love how this issue is written. I love it. It's awesome, and it sucks that every goddamn good issue that DeMatteis does either gets ruined by clones or retcons, or both. All right, it's sad that when you think about it, DeMatteis' two biggest things are the death of Harry Osborn and Kraven's Last Hunt. Kraven and Harry are both alive now.
All right, James. So you give this a thumbs
and he also killed off Doc Ock in the Clone Saga, and Doc Ock is right now in the living brain.
And Aunt May. Aunt May is the best example.
John, I'm just gonna leave now after that.
All right, James. So do you give a thumbs up this issue?
Oh hell yeah! I give it 2 thumbs up. It's classic. I mean, this is the first trade paperback, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, I ever bought. Because I think they released this Marvel was smart. Because it was 2004. They're coming out Spider-Man 2 with the ending with Harry, the cliffhanger for 3 with him finding the Goblin stuff, and also when I got into comics, Sins Past was the storyline they were just coming off of. So it was kind of like a double whammy. Oh, we got new Goblin kids, Sons of Osborn, and then we got Spider-Man 2 setting up Spider-Man 3 with Harry being the Goblin again. Let's release a trade paperback, and I'm glad they did. Because it has his first appearance, it has that one god-awful McFarlane one, and it's god-awful because the artwork, because I am just not a fan of McFarlane artwork. Sue me, McFarlane, but I'm not a fan of your artwork. And I think your writing sucks. I read a few Spawn issues. He gets sued in almost every issue by people because he just takes names of people he likes and goes, hey, I like that hockey player. I'm going to name a crime boss after him. No total way I'm going to get sued by that guy. True story. Anyways, this trade is really great, and it's one of the reasons why I give a damn about Harry Osborn. And Harry's one of my favorite Spider-Man characters. He's one of my favorite goblins. And it's mostly because of this trade, and it's mostly because of issue 200.
All right, so I'll go into my review. I mean, there's not really much else I can say that James hasn't touched on already. The best thing about this book for me was just the tense dynamic of it all. It's like you could tell that these characters were walking on eggshells, and it's very, like, you can feel it when you read the comic.
There's a lot of, it's tension. It's like every page you're like, what's going to happen next? Because you're tiptoeing in quicksand here, kind of.
Yeah, it's like they get the drama perfectly in this book. J.M. DeMatteis absolutely nails that. And like James touched on, Harry's characterization throughout all of this is just so good. And it's just like when he flips back and forth between like he's crazy. Like he's crazy all the time, but he's just absolutely flipping out. And then 2 seconds later, he's calm.
It's and you feel for him. You're like, there's the Harry Osborn. That's the one who you want to stop doing the stuff. But then he does a complete 180 on it.
It's just like it's so well done, and it's just and it is accentuated by Sal Buscema's art because I mean James talked about it a little bit, but I really think that Sal Buscema nails one specific aspect of this, and that is the faces because all of his faces just irradiate emotion just in droves, and
that's part of the psychology. That's why I think it was so brilliant because the art really represents the story.
Exactly. And even down to just like the tone and mood of it all, it's like it's not like overly grim and gritty. It's not overly grimdark, but it's deep, I guess. It has a lot of I guess realism. Well, not necessarily realism, but it's not so cartoony that it's so out there, but it's not so grimdark that it's like, oh, hey, this is the absolute, like, this is Back in Black level. No, this is what Spider-Man is when he gets to this point. And I really enjoy that. I think Sal Buscema's art is absolutely brilliant here. And just that scene where Harry takes Mary Jane to the top of the bridge. It's just like, that is the most surreal, unbelievable thing you could ever imagine.
It's weird because I take you there. This is, and I'm sure because how brilliantly this is written. JMD Mateus did this on purpose. It was say, look how nuts he is. He's saying, I'm taking you here to tell you I'm not taking you here.
It's like that. Like that is why it works. It's because it makes no sense, and that's why it works.
It's a brilliant way of the nostalgia. It's not since past having Sarah getting shot by a cop and then Peter going, no, like Gwen. Or like any other time they do this, like where it almost feels like we get it. He's on a bridge. It's a blonde chick, or we get it. It's Mary Jane. It's a bridge, or we get it. It's a bridge, or we get it. He in this Untold Tale, or I think it was it wasn't Untold Tale. It was John Byrne. He wrote a joke where Peter's swinging by that bridge, and he's like, "Wow, why'd I get a bad feeling that something bad's gonna happen here one day?" Wink.
So I mean, like, yeah, just the JMD Mateus writing the Sal Buscema art. It's all so great, and the final scene with Harry's death, it's like, I'm so glad they didn't put any dialogue in there. It doesn't need it because it's
they kind of do with the whole "You're my friend," but then when he's when he's in the
ambulance, it's like there's no dialogue, and it's perfect. They took enough set approach, and that's what it should be. It's just there's not much else I can add to it that James hasn't already expressed in his recap or in his review. It's a great issue. It's an absolute. It's definitely a pinnacle of good Spider-Man writing. I think it's one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of all time. For me, it's not just this issue. I mean, 189, The Child Within, all that stuff. I absolutely love. I love all of JMD's. I mean, I love JMD's whole run in general, but his stuff with Harry is just
his
amazing.
Spec stuff is his spec. He's going to be going down as one of the greatest Spider-Man writers of all time, and his amazing stuff when he became an amazing writer right after this, around the Clone Saga. Says it right there. It's Clone Saga, but he's the guy who gave us Judas Traveler. Let's just stop right there. That's his amazing run. That's the greatness of his amazing run. He gave us Judas Traveler.
That's not a good thing.
That's what I mean, though. So everything he has done is Kraven's Last Hunt, which wasn't even he was an ongoing writer on any of those titles. It was just he pitched a Spider-Man story and he said, "Brilliant, do it. It's grimdark. That's all the rage right now." And then you got his Spectacular run. And I have reread his whole Spectacular run before, and there's a few what the fuck dumb bad ones. Every run has that, but for the most part, it's like 95. Yeah, it's like 95% great.
Oh yeah, his JMD's first spec run is one of my favorite Spider-Man runs of all time. It's absolutely fantastic, and
him and Bendis are the only two I can say that probably do. They're going to go down as two of the best Spider-Man writers of all time, and they didn't even write amazing, besides for maybe a one-shot or whatever.
And so it's absolutely fantastic. I give 2 thumbs up to Spec 200 as well. So that's pretty much going to do it for our review of Spec 200, and that's also going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to discuss tonight. So James, any final shout-outs to the listeners before we sign off?
I got a few shout-outs, but one final thought, which is reading this issue, rereading it, always makes me sad that they brought Harry back. Because it's wasted. It makes this issue kind of feel like, Harry's back. Because reading it now, it's like, yeah, Harry Osborn dies. Only he totally didn't. And it's sad that kind of, you got that kind of, it's still a great story. But it kind of gets ruined when you see he got brought back, wasted throughout Brand New Day. And now he's stupidly going by a fake name, which is not totally a fake name because it's just his mother's maiden name. Anybody with a brain can figure that out. And he's trying to get back with Liz, the woman who he verbally and physically and mentally abused this whole fucking issue that we just reviewed. Brilliant. We're ready to go, Harry. You had your death. Oh, and gotcha, robot parents. You had your death, and they ruined it on you. But, yeah, to go to my shout-outs, first shout-out, I got to give it to this person, Jeff Johns from DC. And this is weird, but Marvel, DC Rebirth. You got me. I'm totally in for what you're doing. It's going to be totally awesome. High five. And that's about it for shout-outs.
Okay, my shout-outs this week, Marvel Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Dan Slott, Matteo Bufagni, JMD Mateus, Salvio Sema. Thank you for all the comics you reviewed this week. Thank you for Spider-Man, all that stuff. Other shout-out, Marvel, Netflix, Daredevil, Season 2 trailer with the Punisher. Hot damn. That looks good. That's that.
I love it though. I love the ending when he just walks into his apartment and then there's like a knife thrown at him or whatever. It's something sharp, and he goes Elektra, and she goes hi, Matthew. I'm like, 1 5-second clip in a trailer just makes up for Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck relationship and chemistry.
Yeah,
it's like that was Elektra and Matt Murdock. Not let's have a kung fu fight in the middle of a goddamn playground like they had in Daredevil the movie. This one was just like Elektra, hi Matthew.
So yeah, that was good. I'm set and ready for Daredevil Season 2. I'm set and ready now. Other shout outs this week. Shout out to the cold weather because, yeah, you know what? It's Ohio. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. I actually prefer it cold.
Hey, I got a joke for you. What's the difference between Ohio cold weather and Wisconsin's cold weather? Our cold weather actually comes to sports teams that win championships.
Fuck you. Okay? Just no. Oh, that hurt so bad.
Granted, recently we can only say that about the Packers, but still.
You know what? Just shut up. All right. Other shout out last week tonight with John Oliver. Came back for Season 3 this week. Very strong start. Awesome. Good to have you back, Mr. Oliver.
Hey, I got another shout out, and I can tie in the Cleveland sports to make it up to you. Shout out to Bob Uecker and the Old County Stadium, because Cleveland is such a bad place that they filmed a movie based on a bad Cleveland baseball team winning games finally in Milwaukee.
Don't remind me.
Literally, when me and my family, we watch that movie, we go, hey, they got a bill for WTMJ4. That's a Milwaukee channel.
All right, I'm done. We're turning this podcast off now. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope to see you.
Shout out for LeBron for not winning a championship there, but winning it in Shelf Beach. Shout out to Johnny Manziel for just being Johnny Manziel. The self-destruction of Johnny Manziel continue. Shout out to any people in Cleveland that I have really offended, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame sucks. Mike Bomb.
See you all later. Good night.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does suck.